Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where people seem to think they can trespass onto private property and act as if they did no wrong. Guys, it's gonna be another wild episode, so I hope you enjoy the stories and hit that subscribe button for future tales. Okay, so I'm a police officer, and in this story, I pull over a sheriff's 18-year-old daughter. So on this day, I pull her over at 2 a.m. for running a red light. From my initial contact, based upon her language, attitude, and the odor of alcohol, I determined she was inebriated. I remove her to the rear of the vehicle. The entire time, she's screaming that she's the sheriff's daughter, that she's untouchable. Now, I knew that. The first step I conduct in my field sobriety test is the HGN, Horizontal Gauge Nystagmus. This is where I wave the pen in front of your eyes, asking you to track the movements of my pen. Now, doing this required me to place my body in close proximity to her, and on this night, that was my mistake. She sucker punches me in the face and breaks my nose. Now, it's hard to believe that a 120-pound female could pack a punch like she did. She knocked me to the ground. I then hit my dispatch panic button and the world responded. The next I knew, she's cuffed and stuffed and the paramedics are wanting to transport me. We finally all arrive at the jail, and my supervisors interview me again. They were more concerned about my health than anything, and I kept asking for a status on the prisoner, and their only response was, "Who gives a crap? Let's get you taken care of." Then the sheriff arrived. He spoke with my supervisors, both of them, the lieutenant and the sergeant. He then spoke with my fellow deputies, who also responded. Then he spoke with his daughter, confined in a holding cell. He then approaches me and asked how I was. Now, he was really concerned about my health and the state of damage to my gear. We talked for several minutes. He apologized profusely for his daughter's behavior. I kept telling him it wasn't his fault. And then he said, and I'll never forget this is a direct order. You will charge her with underage consumption, operating while intoxicated, assault on an officer causing injury, and resisting arrest. You do that and you do it now, or I will have your badge. And with that, he spun on his heels and left without another word to anybody. The prosecutor reduced some of the charges, but she ended up with time served, a large fine, and a suspension of her driver's license for 6 months. Additionally, the sheriff had her apologize in person in front of the entire patrol division, which was 60 deputies, and the entire corrections department, which was over 100 officers. I hope she learned her lesson. Now that's parenting done right. I bet he had enough of her crap that day, and I can only imagine how entitled and how untouchable she must have felt knowing that her daddy was the sheriff. And I'm so glad it backfired hard that night. So, my social group typically uses birthdays as a reason to get together. The restaurant would be the birthday person's choice. It was usually a big dinner with lots of fun conversation. Now, one woman in the group, our Karen, would repeatedly order appetizers, bottles of wine, etc., all without asking anyone their preferences, or even if it was acceptable, and then demand the check from the waiter, tells the waiter to split it evenly, and then tell everybody how much they owed. She would often throw her share down without a tip and leave, sticking friends who ordered one single appetizer and water to save money, with a bill 3 to 4 times what they expected. Now, most people didn't want to make a scene and potentially ruin the birthday person's party, but after the 3rd or 4th time, I put my foot down. I took the waiter aside when we arrived and said that we needed separate checks except for the birthday person, as I would take care of theirs. When it came time to pay, our Karen was so shocked when, instead of 1 check, the waiter brings out 10 checks. She tried to argue that it was a mistake, and that there was no way it should be 10 checks. Now, she had no issue making a big scene, but never fear, I held firm. I told her no, it's no mistake. I'm not paying for red wine that I didn't drink, or shellfish that my boyfriend can't eat because he's allergic. She then gets really mad. Now, it's not even about the money, it's about the entitlement and seeing her take advantage of less well-off friends. That was so uncool. In fact, she was probably the most broke of all of us at the time, and she just used it as a chance to get an expensive meal subsidized by her friends. She still didn't leave enough money for the tip, but it was worth it to see her argue, me not budge, her look to our friends as backup, and realizing that several people took my side instead, and man was she pissed. I've avoided her like the plague ever since. That cheap alcoholic can do that crap to someone else, but not me. My friends even warn me when they have social gatherings saying that she'll be there, and that's all I need to decide to order a pizza and watch Netflix instead. No clue why they still hang out with her, but that's their problem, not mine. That friend needs to be booted from that group. After the 3rd or 4th time, Like, I can't believe they let her get away with that for 3 or 4 times. Now, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt and assuming that she changed after that one night, because if OP's friends continue to let her leech off them, that's definitely on them. Okay, so some context here. 5 years ago, when I was in my last year of university, my parents divorced. And for many reasons, which included my father being psychologically abusive, I decided to side with my mom and live with her. My dad wasn't too happy with that, so he decided to ask her for half the worth of our home, and my mom was forced to pay him out, even though my mother bought it completely on her own. To not lose our home, I got 3 part-time jobs in the spare time while I was studying, so we could finally pay him his share, and he left after destroying many things in our home. My dad just stopped talking to me one day, got a new partner, and just left, telling me that his stepsons were the kids he always wanted, instead of a geeky nerd. Because, yes, I'm an IT engineer. So once I graduated, I got a scholarship for an MBA in Italy, which only covered the basics plus tuition. So my mom helped me a lot since I couldn't work with my visa. 3 years ago, I came back to my country, and suddenly, I got a great position at an international IT company. They paid me well since it's IT. I then bought a car, a new apartment for us, and we've had a great life in general. Suddenly, Dad sends me a friend request through Facebook, which I ignored and blocked his account. He somehow then managed to get my phone number after I changed it. He then starts calling me, telling me that he and his wife need help financially, that they're starving and their stepsons can't find a job, basically hinting at me to give him money. I just told him I'm sorry, but I won't do that. Dad has also found out where I lived and has since then started going to my apartment, telling me that I owe him this and that, and I have to be a better person, that he always loved me, and I'm the one who turned my back on him. Everybody on his side of the family starts calling me as well, telling me that I should help out my dad. I again told them to F off, as it's none of their business. Now the worst part is, they went to my previous house, which my mother still owns, and broke windows, telling me that that's just the beginning of it if I don't hand him the money he wants. I just went to the police and got a restraining order. Some of my friends told me that I should forgive him and try to help him out, as he's still my father. By this time, I'm feeling guilty, knowing that he's possibly starving. Yet he got a new family, and now he wants me to pay for them too. I don't really know what to do here, but I think I can't forgive him right now. Now listen, OP doesn't have to forgive him, and definitely doesn't owe him a dime. Now it's funny how family members will abandon you and then come out of the woodwork when they want something. Guys, I've read so many stories like this, and if you've been on my channel, you've heard so many stories like this, and my opinion has never changed. OP needs to block him from his life, block everybody that's harassing him from his life, and don't give that dad a single penny because he's a freaking leech. Like, you don't get to abandon your family and then come back years later asking for financial help. That's not how it works. As I posted before, I just bought a new house. Now, we originally just bought the house, but after talking with the previous owner, he offered to sell us a small farm and the animals there. The guy's older, and he can't really care for them. We're still in the process of getting all the papers in order, but my partner has already started taking care of the farm. Our daughter Lily is in absolute heaven. There's 2 new dogs that she just adores, and her favorite animal is a big draft horse that's the most gentle thing we've ever seen. I'm gonna keep working from home, and my partner's gonna be retiring way too early to be a stay-at-home dad and take care of the farm. Now that's for background. The real start is coming. Not even an hour ago, we had a lovely specimen of the entitled genus basically jump the farm's fence with 7 Kid Scouts in uniform. Not sure what troop. My fiance noticed them and asked what they were doing and that the farm is private property. The woman's response was just priceless. She says, "We saw the little ducks and chicken and we want to pet them. It's clearly a petting zoo since they're here." She then pointed at Lily and I while we're brushing the horse. We tried to explain that we're the owners and that she was trespassing. Cue the biggest adult tantrum that I've ever heard. She demanded that we let her in for free and give the kids free rides on the pony. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Draft horses are giants, and while they're gentle and could technically be ridden, a fall could cause serious injury, especially on like 10-year-old kids. My partner was amazing at dealing with her and simply said that she had to leave, or else we'll call the police. Now hearing this, the woman kept shrieking that she's gonna get him fired and that she's gonna post a terrible review. A few cursed words even added for dramatic effect. We were seriously about to call the police when they actually got very lucky. The old owner was bringing us some vet papers that we need to sign for the animals, and he saw the whole drama. He tore into her and made her leave in minutes. Then we went on with our business. My daughter, however, had the best input to the whole thing. She said, "Mommy, I think that lady's strong in the dumb side." I blame her dad for that pun. Also, if anyone's curious, there's no petting zoos in the area that we live in. Now, if I was OP, I'd be looking for that Scouts Club and reporting that woman. Like, she put those kids in danger by knowingly breaking into someone's private property to let them pet some animals. Like, what was going on in her mind? Okay, kids, so for today's trip, we're gonna be hopping this fence to go to a petting zoo. So, some backstory. I was flying by myself for the first time. I was going to Florida to visit some family, and the flight was to be about 3-ish hours. Everything starts fine. I board the plane, find my middle seat in a row of 3, and sit down. Now, I have chronic migraines. I've had them since age 10, and one thing that makes it worse is pressure changes. At this time, I was recently put on new medication for pain and nausea, since they still can't figure out how to handle my migraines. I've also been getting injections to my head and spine for years, as well as constantly trying new medications, and my migraines just won't be controlled. So here I am, sitting in my middle seat, and I reach into my carry-on and pull out my cute little pill container. Now, I don't like to carry prescription bottles on me for privacy. I just want to take my pain and nausea medication before I take off, so they can kick in as we take off. My new medications look a little sketchy, as the pain pill is bright blue and the nausea pill is a bright purple capsule. I've taken them in public before and never had a problem. But that day, a Karen made it a problem. I had gotten a Diet Coke from my bag and I'm getting ready to take my meds when she starts groaning and sighing. I think nothing of it. I ignore it and take my medication. Now, I have anxiety in general, but I get anxious about my migraines. I throw up from the pain a lot, and I was anxious about being in the middle seat and having to throw up mid-flight. Well, we take off, and 10 minutes into being in the air, I start feeling nauseous, and decide to make my way to the bathroom as the seatbelt light has just turned off. Karen is actively avoiding eye contact, so I gently tap her shoulder, and this follows. I say to her, "Excuse me, can you please get up? I have to use the bathroom." She says, "Didn't you go before we left?" Now at that I respond, I'm sorry? Did you not use the bathroom before we left?" I tell her I'm sorry, but I really need to go to the bathroom. Karen still isn't listening to me, and she says, "Why didn't you go before we left?" At this point, a flight attendant's passing by, and asked her to please let me use the bathroom. So I go, throw up, rinse out my mouth, feel like absolute crap, and then go back to my seat. Now, I threw up my meds before they were fully in my system, so I went back to my seat and made a decision to take another of each pill. My doctor said it's fine for me to take my medications like that. So I get one of each pill, and I'm getting my drink out, and I'm about to take them. Now, with the anxiety and pain I was feeling, my legs were shaking a bit, and I was trying my best not to bump into the passengers on either side. My leg accidentally bumps Karen's, and I mumble a quick sorry and take my meds. Now, she's had it with me, and she turns to face me and says, "What's wrong with you?" At that I respond, "Excuse me?" Karen then says, "You are so addicted to these drugs that you have to take them on a plane? Beside me?" I tell her, "These are prescription." She says, "If they're prescription, why are they not in a proper bottle?" Now, my legs are still bouncing, and I bump into her again by accident, and she screams, "Oh my god, you shouldn't be allowed to fly if you're on drugs. You can't even handle yourself, you're shaking from withdrawal." Now I decide to ignore her. I put my headphones in and go about my business. A few hours pass, and I feel nauseous again. I lightly tap the woman's shoulder again, saying, "Excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom." She says, "Why? Because you don't know how to go before you leave? Or are you gonna do more drugs?" I tell her, "I need to use the bathroom. You either let me use the bathroom now, or I can vomit right into your face. Either way, I'm gonna throw up soon, so what's it gonna be?" The woman lets me go, and I take care of myself, and I come back to the Karen telling the flight attendant about the demon sitting right next to her. The flight attendant approaches me and says, "Excuse me, miss, were you abusing any substances on this flight?" I tell her, "No, I was just taking my medication." Now the Karen's screaming, "Liar! This addict is taking drugs in front of families and children." I then tell the flight attendant that I can show her my meds if she wants me to. I then reach into my bag and pull out my pill container. I open the container to show an array of medication, telling her that I was taking these two for my migraines and nausea. The flight attendant then looks to the woman and says, "There's nothing illegal going on here." She screams, "Are you kidding? She's using drugs, and you say that's legal? I demand a new seat." The flight attendant at this point tells her that the flight is full, and there are no other seats. The woman screams, "She's using drugs and hitting me, and you won't get me a new seat?" The attendant then tells her, "I'm afraid I can't offer you a new seat, and I hope you won't cause any further issues to the passengers. If you do keep causing problems, we're gonna have an issue here." So after that, the woman shut up, and we sat through the rest of the flight with no interaction. The nice lady on my other side, about a 70-year-old woman, talked to me about her granddaughter and how she's got migraines as well, and how it's horrible to deal with. The flight attendant did offer me a free alcoholic beverage while that woman was in the bathroom, but I couldn't accept since I was underage and I was on medication. So we landed, and the woman pushes her way off the plane as fast as she could to get away from my demon self. And me, I just went to my aunt's truck and had a great story to tell of the crazy lady on my plane. Crazy is definitely right. And what a nightmare person to sit beside. Like, to call a flight attendant and accuse OP of taking illegal drugs on a flight is next level. And I'm actually wondering if she purposely did cause a scene to try to get a seat upgrade. Guys, I've read enough stories to think that might have been her master plan. The day has finally come where I have a story to post. Today, I went to the local department store and picked up a few things, including some leeks and some bread that had been marked down with a sale sticker. When I get to the check stand, a young man opened a second register to help me. So I put the items on the belt and he starts to ring me up. The store is extremely busy, and the phone at the check stand keeps ringing, so he has to pause ringing my stuff a couple of times, which obviously takes longer, but whatever. It's not his fault and he's doing his best. It's also Saturday, so I'm not in any hurry or rush. At some point, he either presses the wrong button or gets confused, as he rings up my leaks 4 times. I think he was new, so he calls for a manager or someone to help void the extra 3 items, and continues scanning while we wait. At this point, some lady's gotten super close to me in line, and I can hear her huffing and puffing behind me. Obviously she's in a hurry, annoyed that the poor cashier is taking a little while. The young man then gets to the bread, and for whatever reason, the sticker wouldn't scan. He then tried to key it in, and the register doesn't recognize the UPC. So here comes the manager to help the guy. The cashier is obviously new to the job, and he's embarrassed that he doesn't know how to fix the issues with the register. The lady behind me continues to huff and puff, as the cashier apologizes profusely, to which I tell him it's okay. I know it's the system and not him personally, and I'm not in a hurry, so no big deal. The lady behind me then pipes up, directing her questioning to the manager, who's very obviously trying to help the cashier fix the issues. She says, "Hey, just go open another register and ring me up. This is taking forever and I'm in a hurry." Now, before the manager could even answer, I turned around to see that she has a severe case of bitch face, and I said, "No, he can't. He's helping me right now." I then turned back to the cashier. The lady says, "I wasn't talking to you." I then turned around to face her again and said, "I don't care, lady. These gentlemen are clearly helping me right now, and you need to wait your turn like everybody else. You're not the only person in the store, and there's 10 other check stands you can go to." At this point, I can see people kind of peeking around the other check stands as I was talking loudly in an effort to draw attention, so she would be ashamed. She then mumbles something under her breath and finally shuts her yap. I turned around, and the look on the cashier and the manager's face was a mix between surprise and pleasure, probably having wanted to tell the customer to shut their trap before, and not having been able to do it. They fixed the extra charges for my leaks and ended up sending me home with bread for free. The cashier then smiles at me and said, "You have a nice day, ma'am." As I strolled out to my car, I started tossing my groceries in the back, and of course that rude lady is parked near me. She sees me and avoids eye contact and just scurries to her car, where she basically dumps her cart in the trunk, shoves her cart up on the median, and quickly drives away. I'd like to think maybe she won't be a bitch to retail staff again, but you know these types of people. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our / entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories today. If you did, leave a thumbs up, and if you missed yesterday's episode on the channel, I'll link it right here. An entitled Karen boss accidentally fires herself after thinking she's invincible. Check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.